Hello and welcome to Chocolate and Cheese. My name is Dom.
Hello, Lulu.
Yes, and that's Lou and her tummy that you can hear yet again. Lou, do you know what life hacks are?
No, I don't know.
Allow me to educate you.
Please.
Life hacks are basically really tips and tricks to make things easier, to make your life easier. Okay, so it's usually the kind of stuff that you already have at home and you can use it in ways that you have never thought about. You could to make your life easier. Okay. I've prepared quite a few actually. Let's start straight away. I'm quite excited because I think they're just so cool, and I'm sure you will be very amused by some of them. You know, but they're very, very useful. The first one is actually about barbecuing. Okay, so I mean we have March. We are still in March, but soon I think the temperatures will rise and we will go out having a little barbecue.
I actually saw some people already out.
That's true. That's true. We did already. That's very true. So that's great because you can use that straight away just in case you are intending to do a barbecue today or maybe next weekend. If you're making a fire for your barbecue, sometimes you don't have enough stuff to kind of like start the fire. You know?
That's really annoying.
You don't actually have the kind of kindle. That's what they say called fire. It's for fire kindling. Did you know? So I mean, imagine you're already sitting on your little blanket there, and you don't want to go and collect pieces of twigs and dry leaves. Did you know that you can actually use potato chips to just use to kindle the fire, to start a fire?
Yeah, potato
They're very,
chips.
very effective, especially for some strange reason, Doritos. And you see, this is something that people often have with their barbecues anyway. I know that we always have potato chips when we go. So you can actually use that. I know for a fact that there's something else, I've seen this on TV actually, where people have used old bread. Old bread, again, very, very useful in terms of providing the necessary fuel to keep that fire alive, or even, with starting the fire.
Maybe it smells good as well.
I can imagine that, Doritos, why not? Absolutely. So there's your first one. The second one, again, for the same occasion, actually, when you're out there having your barbecue, what happens when you're very close to a lake? What happens all the time when you're close to a lake?
I get bit by mosquito or other insects.
That's right. You get mosquito bites. Now, did you know that one of the best things to help with mosquito bites? I mean, there are loads of stuff you can use.
Scare them.
But apparently, you can use clear nail polish to help with this. Which I found really, really interesting. It actually immediately stops the itching and prevents further reaction to it. So if you immediately put that on, if you happen to have a clear nail varnish with you, but I think many women have that in their handbags. Nail varnish. You don't have. Okay, you don't have that with you.
Yeah, but I'm gonna put it on my backpack.
Maybe you should put it in. Absolutely. So, but obviously it wants to be clear because if you have red, you don't want to do that. You look like a weirdo. But clear nail varnish apparently sorts that, which I think is quite cool. Right. Our next one. This is interesting. Now, imagine you're trying to get on your shoes, put on your shoes, and that happens quite a lot actually in my case. I have a terrible knot and I can't open the knot. You know that happens quite often to me actually. Or any kind of other knot. That seems to be just it's impossible to untangle the knot. Now, if you have this kind of problem, apparently corn flour. If you sprinkle a little bit of corn flour on top of that, that will solve it. It will actually help you to get the segments apart. Okay, so once you sprinkle that on top, it gets it easier to actually untangle that knot. I think it's specifically used for shoes, and maybe for gents especially, because that happens to me all the time.
Call Lulu.
Or call Lou, absolutely. If you happen to have your phone number, just call her and she will come by and it will open your shoelaces. Absolutely.
That is my hobby.
The next one is still, we're talking about shoes. If you have very, very smelly shoes, I don't actually have smelly shoes, but I used to have, I think, very, very smelly shoes. Again, I mean, there are like countless products you could actually buy, and you can spend a fortune on all these like sprays and deodorants and powders. Interestingly, what you can do is you can just put them in the freezer overnight. That will kill all the bacteria. Yeah, well, I can imagine, absolutely. I mean, don't just take them and put them in. Put them in a plastic bag and then put them in the freezer overnight. Apparently, this will get rid of most of that smell, which I think is quite cool.
Maybe bacteria is dying.
They will die, yeah, absolutely. And this is really the cause of the smell. You know, you have to kill these bacteria. And you can put that in the freezer to do that, you know. Obviously, before you put your lovely feet back in there, make sure you actually defrost, you know, give it a bit of time for your shoe to defrost. Okay. So I think that's another useful life hack there. The next one, interestingly, this is something that you hate, Lou. Paper cuts. Oh, yes, you love it. You love it. I mean, it's one of those things that happen in the office, you know, every now and then, and it's just so painful. It's ridiculous. You wouldn't actually believe that the piece of paper can cause so much pain. Yeah. Apparently, once you have that, you can put some chapstick on. You know, the kind of thing that you put on your lip balm. Exactly. You put some lip balm on it, and that will actually help heal the cut very quickly. Which I found really interesting. So you can actually put that on.
That's very useful.
Yeah, you can also do this actually when you. I'm just thinking now when you shave and you have like, you know, your little cuts when you're shaving. You can do the same technique. You can use lip balm just to put that on. That will stop the bleeding and it will actually heal very, very quickly. It's very soothing then. Absolutely. The next one, very interesting as well. It's about creating a flexible ice pack at home. You can buy these things.
This is a nice texture.
That's right.
Bunny.
Yeah. You know, the one that is actually flexible. So it's not like frozen solid, but it's an ice pack. You know, for any kind of like sprains.
Jelly-like.
Yeah. Any kind of like injury. You know, you sprain your foot, or maybe even you have a sunburn. Or maybe even a headache, you can actually use ice packs as well. Or toothache, you can use that, But if you want it to be flexible, this is where it normally becomes very difficult. So what you can do is you can use a bit of alcohol, because alcohol doesn't freeze at the temperatures that you have in the freezer, for example. Okay, so what you have to do, according to this recipe, you have to use 2 cups of water. A 3rd cup, preferably vodka, because it has such a high alcohol content, about 80%. And another thing, actually, food coloring. The reason why you should use food coloring so that you don't mix it up with actual food. So you know, use a color like blue or green that you know, okay, this is actually my ice pack. This is not something I want to eat. Okay, and then you put the whole thing into just a freezer bag. Especially, you know, preferably the one that you have actually Ziplocs. Okay, so you can actually, they're airtight, and for extra security, you can actually use two of them, you know. So you prepare one of them, and then you put them in the other one, and you freeze it. And it will be ice cold, but it will still be flexible. And I think that's pretty cool. Can be used for, you know, like I said, all sorts of ailments, any kind of problems. And it's obviously much cheaper than buying them, because they can apparently be quite expensive. I haven't tried to buy it myself, but that's what they say. The next one, again, for when you're out and about, you know, possibly the barbecue, and you hit quite a lot of sun. This will always be a problem, obviously, later on in the summer when you're out there swimming for, you know, too long in the water, or you're sunbathing too long. You're going to have sunburns. One of the best things you can put on a sunburn, I mean, obviously, what you should do is you should prepare. You should put sunblocks on you anyway. But in case you still got a terrible sunburn, you can use white vinegar. To make it better, which I find really interesting. I would have never thought that you can put this on, actually. It's going to be obviously a little bit smelly, but it will actually it actually works as an anti-inflammatory, you know, so it will reduce this the inflammation and the pain and this redness. Absolutely, will get rid of this. Now, I remember that you recently told me something else you can use for white vinegar. What else can you treat with white vinegar?
The jellyfish attack.
Exactly. You told me that before, which I find really interesting. So if you are in the sea, maybe already, or maybe later in the summer, this is another thing you can use, you know, just in case you get stung, you know. So it helps, you know, for 2 things, sunburns and jellyfish attacks.
So bring the bottles to the sea.
Bring a little bit of white vinegar with you, absolutely. The next tip, I think, very useful again for you, Lou. You can make a beverage, any kind of drink, ice cold within just 10 minutes. I know this is always the issue. You know, you buy something from the supermarket, you go home, you're really thirsty, you're sweaty, maybe you've worked out, maybe it was actually a little bit hot outside, and you want to drink it, but it's just lukewarm. It's horrible, and you want to just drink it. And if you put it in the freezer, there's always a thing. If you put it in the freezer, it takes quite a long time to actually cool down, and worst, you forget it.
Exactly.
You know? And if it's a glass bottle, that will actually explode. In the fridge, it will take even longer. Now, what you can actually do, very interestingly, you can use a kitchen towel, you know, or any, you know, it could be just, you know, piece of cloth. Make it wet, put it around your beverage,
bottle.
for example, around your bottle, and put that in the freezer. That will make your drink cold within 10 minutes. I mean, it makes so much sense, of course, you know, because the cold stuff is directly, it surrounds your bottle straight away. It's not through the air.
Insulation.
Yeah, it's not through the air, it's actually through the water just outside the bottle, you know. It's very clever. So this is one way of just cooling your beverage make it really ice cold in 10 minutes. The other thing that you can do is actually just use olives, you know, but you wouldn't want to put olive in a drink.
No.
You can use that with, like, if you want to have a sparkly wine or something, you can make it cooler, but maybe not ice cold, you know, if you want to do this. Okay, the next trick I find very interesting. I would have never thought about this. Now, Lou, you like your candles.
Yeah.
Okay, we have loads of these candles.
Candle free.
Yeah, you're a candle freak, absolutely. Now, people, what they do with their candles, like you, Lou, you put them in, like, for example, in decorative vases to make it, you know, make it look even better, you know, or you buy really, really big candles, you know, but then they burn down.
Yeah.
So what happens in both cases? Sometimes it's really, really difficult to actually light them because you can't reach the wick, you know, like where you light it. What you can do, I find that really, really interesting. I'm definitely going to try this later. You can use spaghetti. You can light a spaghetti and to then use it to light the candle. Obviously, it's not a cooked spaghetti, okay? It's a dry, you know, piece of spaghetti. Light it and then put that to the candle, and that will light the candle. Very interesting. It actually, just burns, you know, which is really interesting. Yeah, that's pretty cool. The next one, I actually used this myself yesterday. I had a bit of a spot problem there in the nasal area, and
Rudolph knows.
Again, you can use loads of products, you know, Clearasil and all this kind of thing, but the cheapest and readily available thing at home is just plain old toothpaste. Yeah? You look weird with all that toothpaste all over your face, but what it does, it just dries out that pimple or that spot, okay? It just brings everything that's in there outside, and that's where it should be, okay? Don't use whitening toothpaste because that will really irritate the skin. It's almost like you're trying to bleach your skin. So do not use the whitening one. Any kind of other toothpaste. Put that on your zit, pimple spot, whatever you call it, and that will nicely heal it. You know, sometimes it actually just works overnight. And the good thing about it also, it doesn't smear because you see that the paste actually dries very, very quickly. It can be a bit of a nightmare actually to remove it the next day because it's almost like concrete. But you will manage to get rid of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Another one for you. This is in case there is a zombie apocalypse, okay? And you are you're at home, you're stuck at home, and you need some lights. Obviously, lights have been. There's no electricity in a zombie apocalypse, so you need candles, but you've run out of candles.
Go to supermarket.
No, you can't. You can't get out because it's too dangerous. There are too many zombies. So what are you gonna do? In case you have some good old Crisco, okay, that's just basically fat in a tub, okay, you can actually use that to make a homemade candle. You just put a little, you put a little bit of string, any kind of string, in the middle of that fat. It's just pure, like vegetable fat, okay? Put that in the middle, and then you light it, and then you've got a kick-ass, it's like a tea candle almost, but it's a massive, it's a big tub, and it will burn for almost 45 days. So that's you're sorted in terms of just light and maybe a little bit of warmth, if you put your hands very, very close, okay? So if you don't have a candle at home, you can actually just use any kind of, fat in a tub, just Crisco is one of the most popular ones. And then you've got a candle, just in case you don't have candles at home. That will never happen to us, though.
Yeah.
We have loads of candles. The last tip. Oh, this is a really, really useful. Don't you look at my screen, Lou. This is all my information. Okay, so you've been out and about, and you've maybe you've been climbing trees, Lou. That happens. Or you've been climbing a wooden fence. Or maybe you've done some woodwork and you've got a nasty little splinter.
Oh no!
I mean, you've done woodwork. You've done woodwork in the past, and I know you've got loads of splinters before. I occasionally get a splinter, and they're just a nightmare to remove.
I think I have several still under the skin.
You might have, yeah. You might, well, although they get dissolved eventually. But the problem is, you can't reach them. Even if you use tweezers, sometimes what you do is you just push it in more, or you just rip. You break it, and the other stuff is still inside. What you can do, really interestingly, you can just use a tiny bit of white school glue. It's kind of like the really safe glue that some people can actually eat, but you shouldn't do that. It's a very safe kind of glue that people use in schools. You put that glue onto your splinter, wait for it to dry, and after some time you can just peel it off, But while you're peeling off the glue, the splinter will come out because it has attached itself to the splinter. If you're lucky, and most of the cases it's actually worked. So this is brilliant, for when you've got that, because it can be very, very irritating, and it's so uncomfortable, So that's a great way of removing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so these were our, our first episode of life hacks. We're going to do another one, probably tomorrow, yeah. And I think that one will again be life hacks, but I think we'll be focusing on the kitchen. So there will be kitchen hacks, and I think that'll be very, very interesting for you, Lou. Out of these that I just showed to you, which one would you like to try straight away?
Glue.
You want to try glue? Okay, so you're going to do some woodwork, and then we're going to put that glue on you, just to see whether that works. I love it. Let's do that.